Yanks are coming, the Yanks are coming, the drums run tumming everywhere, so prepare.
My fellow patriots, welcome back to my show. We're working this show to basically have those who never had the honor of wearing the uniform and serving their country to understand what military life is like, and those who have served to understand that you do deserve the respect you've earned. For those who have worn the uniform, I want you to remember that though there were some dark times during our military service, we served with honor, and people need to understand that we deserve their respect. In 3 weeks, our country will be taking the time to remember and honor those who wore the uniform and defended our country. November 11th is Veterans Day. Originally, Veterans Day was called Armistice Day. It was held November 11th to remind people of the end of World War I and the end of all wars. It ended on the 11th month, the 11th day, and the 11th hour of 1918. As we know, it was not the last war, and to ensure that the veterans of all branches of services were honored in 1954, it was changed to Veterans Day. The people in this country who hate war the most are those who end up getting wounded and die for it. Though not every veteran has been in combat, every one of them took an oath, stating that, if necessary, they would die for you. By putting on the uniform and swearing the oath, which has no end date, they have earned your respect. Remember, that day, it's nice to have picnics and races and relaxing time, but please remember those who served to ensure you had the right and the ability to do that. Happy Veterans Day. My guest today is not a veteran, but the president of an organization here in Illinois which honors our veterans who have served. The organization is called Honor Flight Chicago. His name is John Ptak, and John helps oversee and coordinates the Chicago Honor Flight. He also works to pair 115 veterans and volunteers on each flight and goes on each flight as the lead captain. He also champions Operation Education, expanding the Honor Flight Chicago into local schools. He's worked in financial services industry for more than 25 years. He graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting from Kelley School of Business at Indiana University. Of course, being a Boilermaker, it's kind of hard for me to talk to him. He is a partner at Corinth, a financial firm. He has 2 daughters and a son, who I met on my attendance on the Honor Flight in August. Welcome aboard, John.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
How did Honor Flight get started, and who started it and when?
Sure. So the World War II Memorial was completed in 2004. A few years after that, Honor Flight Chicago was founded in 2008. Shortly after one of our co-founders, Mary Petnato, returned from seeing the World War II Memorial with her World War II veteran father. They ran into other veterans when they were out there, and when she came back, she and a group of 3 other women started pulling this together and knew that we had something special that needed to be done.
Since that time, what else has developed since the initial planning?
Sure. So in 2008, we began flying our World War II veterans. In 2016, we added our Korean War veterans to our trips. And in 2019, we added our Vietnam War veterans to our trips. Along the way, so very frequently, we will have 3 generations of senior war heroes walking side by side in our nation's capital, touring the memorials that were built in their honor. Along the way, we've been really spending time and energy in getting into the community, finding our senior war veterans, talking to people about our mission and getting them involved. And so the depth and breadth of the organization today extends well beyond just the flight day.
What is the criteria you guys use for selecting veterans?
So it's right now we are flying members or those who served active duty in World War II, Vietnam, or the Korean War. And so they will go on to a wait list as soon as we receive those applications in. Our wait list right now is currently around 2,300, so we have a lot of work still to do. But if given the age of our World War II and our Korean War veterans, if we were to receive an application today, they would receive priority and go straight to the top of that list. After that, it's based on when the application is received.
Great. Is it only for Chicago area veterans?
It is not. We've flown veterans located across the country. An overwhelming majority of our veterans come from the Chicagoland area, but many of them travel a great distance, whether it's from downstate Illinois. We have many, each trip we have many veterans who live in Northwest Indiana who join us on our trips. We have veterans who drive down from Wisconsin. We definitely try, when we receive an application of interest, we definitely try to connect that veteran with a hub that is close to them, convenient for them. But most of our veterans have either roots in the Chicagoland area or family members and would prefer to fly with us. And so some jump on a plane and come to Chicago. Those who may spend partial or majority of their time in a different state, some will come to here to spend the day with us.
I go on Facebook and there's other cities. How did that occur?
Sure. So Honor Flight Chicago is a member or part of a nationwide network of independently run hubs. So there's approximately just under 130 of them across the country, as far away as Alaska. And so the Honor Flight Network began in 2005, so about a year after the World War II memorial was completed. And the hubs have continued to be added to the network since that time. Honor Flight Chicago is the largest of these independently run hubs, and often a lot of our best practices have been adopted by many of the other hubs across the country.
That's great. How many veterans of each conflict, do you know what the count is?
Yeah, so this is Honor Flight Chicago's, next week we'll finish our 16th season with our 118th mission. It's really amazing to say that, but we have flown we have flown 11,318 senior war heroes. So just over 6,300 World War II veterans, just over 2,200 Korean War veterans, and just over 27 2,700 Vietnam War veterans. And so our flights are now skewing more towards, we fly generally 115 to 120 senior war heroes each trip, and our flights are definitely skewing more towards being predominantly Vietnam War veterans, and that's the makeup of our wait list.
Yeah, I wish my dad, who's a World War II veteran, and my father-in-law, who landed at Normandy, could have gone. because, like I say, I did go, and it is an honor. What's the plans for the future of Honor Flight Chicago?
Sure. So we fly 7 flights a season. We start in April, and we finish off in October. Like I said, we'll be flying our last flight of this current season next week. But we are busy year-round. We have I couldn't be more proud of the depth and breadth of our volunteer force and the way that they engage in the community today. We have programs like Operation Education. So for years, we have been called upon by schools in the Chicagoland area to help connect them with veterans, primarily around Veterans Day, for Veterans Day assemblies and the like. And in recent years, we've really expanded that program to mobilize teachers and administrators to help really expand and really see what else we can do just beyond once a year. And it really took off during the pandemic, where most schools went remote. It was easier for our veterans to use Zoom or get in remotely into the classrooms. And so now we're working with schools where we've touched over 200 schools across the Chicagoland area, connecting our students with senior war heroes. So if they're doing a segment on the Vietnam War, we can, at the end of that segment, we can have somebody who actually served during the Vietnam War talk to the students. They get to hear firsthand accounts from somebody who is actually there, rather than just reading about it. And what better way for our youth to learn about the importance of service than from our senior war heroes? And so that's a wonderful program that we have right now. Leading up to Veterans Day, we have an offshoot of that program, Operation Climb. It's student run. So these students meet regularly to discuss service and how they can help get the word out about Honor Flight Chicago's mission, and help us get more volunteers, help us get more veterans signed up for their Day of Honor. And so they are, in the days leading up to Veterans Day, they are doing fundraisers for us as well. So it's really getting the students involved, taking ownership, having them meet regularly. It's been a really impressive program. So outside of that, we have a podcast series. We just recorded our 75th episode of that podcast series. It's Honor, Thank, Inspire, where one of my board members sits down with veterans and hears those firsthand accounts, living history, really. And so we're really proud of that. We have hundreds and hundreds of veterans interviews that have been done. So it's really, when we started this journey back in 2008, it was to bring our World War II veterans to see the memorial that was recently built in their honor. World War II Memorial was completed almost 60 years after the end of World War II, so many of these veterans maybe didn't have the financial means or somebody to accompany them out to see it. We've since added our Korean War veterans, our Vietnam War heroes as well. But what we've learned along the way is that we have a great opportunity and responsibility to help Americans realize the debt of gratitude that we owe anyone who puts on the uniform to protect our freedom. And that's past, present, and future generations. And so by engaging the community, we're really proud and excited to help continue on that mission.
Well, believe me, having gone on one, I appreciate it. Can you describe kind of what a day on an honor flight is like?
Yeah, so each Honor Flight Chicago day, each mission, each trip begins long before sunrise. Our veterans arrive to Midway Airport at 4 a.m. in the morning, and for the next 16 hours, they're treated as heroes everywhere they go. So you can expect a lot of, being a military man, you can expect a lot of hurry up and wait. But our veterans always tell us the wait is well worth it. So we gather at Midway Airport. When we started in 2008, we flew 60 World War II veterans. Today, and we booked individual seats on commercial flights. Today, our flights will have 120 special guests of honor on each of our flights, and we charter an entire plane, 175 seat plane. Each one of our veterans will have a guardian for the day. That's somebody, that's a personal attendant for the day that is there to make sure that each of our veterans has the most enjoyable, rewarding, and safest day possible. Also push a wheelchair, or like I like to call them on Honor Flight Chicago days, chairs with wheels. So they are alongside of our veterans the entire day. We head up to the gate for coffee and donuts and some entertainment before we board the plane for our trip. And when we touch down in Washington, D.C., or at Dulles, we're greeted by the rest of our volunteers. So each of our flights will take 175 people, about 120 senior war veterans. The rest of the flight is made up of my team, which includes a photo and video team, our bus captains for the day, our medical team. Each flight we will travel with approximately a dozen nurses, doctors, to make sure that we have that we are fully prepared for the day. And then some family member guardians if necessitated by medical conditions. But so that's 175 coming from Chicago. We'll meet another almost 100 volunteers in DC, so that really allows us to fly more veterans on each flight while still giving each of our heroes their own personal guardian for the day.
And I have to tell you, they do take care of you.
So once we get there, we board 6 buses, and it's just amazing to see this caravan of senior war heroes in these 6 buses traveling what I like to call the Honor Flight Chicago Highway while we're in DC, making our way to the mall in our nation's capital. The sites we see every trip are the World War II Memorial, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, the Korean War Memorial, Lincoln War Memorial, Udvar Hazy Air and Space Museum out on the Dulles campus, and then time and traffic permitting, we sometimes make stops at the U.S. Marine Corps Memorial, the U.S. Air Force Memorial.
I have to tell you, the day I went, it was 100 degrees in Washington, D.C. It was hot. But these people kept us hydrated. They kept us moving as fast as we could. And believe me, it was an honor, especially to see things that the wall, you know, many of us that were there have friends on that wall. And also to see the World War II Memorial, because like I said, my dad and my father-in-law and many of my uncles never got to see that. We went past the World War I Memorial on the way back, and I have seen pictures of what it's going to be. That's going to be one your guys are going to want to see. But I have to say, They do a great job.
So one of the things you just mentioned is the individuals that did not get to have their Day of Honor. And today I brought a flag case that we carry with us each and every one of our trips. And it has pictures of people who did not get to receive their Day of Honor. And so we include that in our ceremonies during the day and our thoughts and our prayers throughout the day as well, to honor their service and ultimate sacrifice as well.
Do a good job.
And
Go ahead.
the one thing I would like to say is, while our participants can expect to visit these sites and tour their memorials, and they love it. That's the feedback we get is amazing on seeing their memorials, but it's really the people. So as far as expectations, it's the connections that our veterans make with a whole plane of other senior war heroes, 3 generations in many cases of war heroes. It's the interactions that they have with their guardian for the day, our volunteers, the people they come across thanking them for the service, and the way that they feel with those interactions, and the people that they talk to that really make the lasting impression from this experience.
What does it take behind the scenes to do this?
Sure, it's a lot. I get asked all the time, how do you pull this all together? How do you organize this, and how does it come off so smoothly? And we've done it 118 times, but the answer is always very simple to me. We have hands down the best volunteers in the world. They are just amazing, and their efforts and dedication continues to humble me. I mentioned we start flying in April, and we fly once a month through October, so the non-icy months. And as soon as a flight is completed, the next day the invitations go out for the next month's flight, and all the preparations start to take shape, and we have an army of volunteers. You saw them when you arrived at the airport bright and early on your flight day.
Yes.
And we have a volunteer base of almost 1,000, right around 1,000 active, over 500, and 100 show up in the morning bright and early to see us off and organize everything. We have an amazing set of volunteers out in DC that help us coordinate and set up all the logistics and make the connections. So it really is an amazing team effort, and it kind of reminds me of the Korean War Memorial. The way it's designed is it's a triangle with a squad on patrol, and they're all marching to the tip of that triangle, which is an American flag.
Right.
And I see our volunteers, they're all marching toward, they all believe so strongly in this mission that our senior war heroes deserve this day of gratitude, respect, and camaraderie. And so the way they all come together in their efforts, and it's year-round. So the planning, and each year that goes by, each month, each mission that we pull off, we get better at what we do. We don't stand still. We want to make it the most enjoyable, rewarding, and safest day possible for our veterans, and it's a testament to the dedication of our people.
I was lucky. One of my friends from one of the groups that I belong to, he went, and the funny thing was, his son was the pilot to flow us down to Washington, D.C., and got to spend some time with him. But you're right. I mean, I got to meet so many other vets that I probably never would have met. And it was a good day, basically, even though it was a little hot. How did you get involved?
So, question. As you mentioned earlier, I am not a veteran. but I'm really proud of the service in my family. I'm the grandson of a World War II Army veteran, Joseph Ptak, and I'm the son of a Vietnam War Air Force veteran, John Ptak. And growing up, I know that I was very close with my grandfather. Spent a lot of time with him. I knew that he was very proud of his service, but I didn't know much about his service. And he passed many years before the World War II Memorial was built and Honor Flight was founded. He would have absolutely loved this trip. So back in 2010, I was looking for a way to get involved with a veterans organization to pay tribute to my grandfather and my father's service. And I was reading an article in the Tribune and read about this, what seemed like a wonderful organization that was bringing our World War II veterans out to the nation's capital and at a no expense to them. And I called up and got involved, and each year that's gone by, I've gotten more and more involved, and it's really, I get much more from this organization than I could ever put into it.
This is a family thing with you. I remember meeting your son when we went there.
I do.
And you've got him involved too, huh?
I have. He's so I have a 18-year-old son and about to be 16 and about to be 14-year-old daughters. And they've attended many Honor Flight Chicago events with me for me being involved for over a decade now. And they've gone to our fundraisers, our volunteer events, our guardian training. My daughters used to love going to that on the Saturday morning before the trips. But I always encouraged my son to get involved, especially with Operation Education taking off and gaining some steam. And he had always kind of given me the indication that, Dad, this is your thing. I'll find mine. But my father's number came up last year, Vietnam veteran, and so he flew with us, and my brother was his guardian. It was an amazing day, and my son was there to when we got home, and he really saw the impact that it had, not just on my father, all the veterans on the trip, but also their family members. The overall impact that it was having, and right after that flight, he wanted to get involved, and so now he's an active member of Operation Education, Operation Climb. He comes out in the mornings before school out to Midway Airport and then races home. I remember your son, who was your guardian on the trip. I had come up and kind of gave my son the signal that it's getting time to get to school, and your son had said, Dad, I think it's time for him to go, and you said, school can wait. We're having a great conversation here. So I love that that memory.
Well, how do you feel about giving our vets, many who come home and were disrespected, the honor and respect that they never got?
Yeah, it really is a privilege. I'm very proud of our mission, what we're doing. Our World War II veterans were highly celebrated. Our each generation is different. Our Korean War veterans served in a war that happened just less than 5 years after World War II, and many people didn't know much about it. It's the forgotten war. It wasn't even called a war, it was a conflict. And one of our veterans said, when my brother and I used to get into wrestling matches, that was a conflict. When people are shooting at you, that's a war.
Yes.
Our Vietnam veterans, we all know how they were mistreated when we get home. So just being able to finally give them the day of respect, they so deserve, and to have them here way too many years late, but a very heartfelt and very thankful welcome home. To have them hear those words really makes me very proud. And I look at, the feedback that we get, and we get feedback from every flight, but one of our veterans, recent veterans, said, "I wasn't going to feel like this trip was something like I'd like to do. However, I'm very glad I went. It was beyond anything I could ever have expected. The impact was something I can't explain. It has given me a more positive feeling about the time I spent in Vietnam. The camaraderie with the other vets was very nice too. I felt seen and relevant once in a lifetime."
Yes.
To give somebody that is beyond words.
I understand. Well, I want to thank you for being on my show. I want you to have this coin and this pin to remember.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be here. I was
I'm glad
really
you
looking
came.
forward to today, and I really enjoyed our discussion.
Thank you. As an underflight attendee, I can't express enough what an honor this truly was. Please take my word, it was better than a parade. Welcome home. How to contact Honor Flight Chicago will be shown at the end of this program. And I want to say one last thing about this. When I got out, as I told most of you, I've served in Korea during Vietnam, but I disrespected when I got home. And I made a vow that I was going to help our troops whenever there was ever there was not another war. And that's why I started the group that sends care packages. When I got done with this honor flight, I walked to my car and I had tears in my eyes. I felt that much better. Thank you, John.
My privilege.
I've received many letters over the last 21 years, and I like sharing them with you. This one was October 8th, 2009. Mr. Kruse, greetings once again. This is Chaplain Wayne from Jalalabad, Afghanistan. Our times here are just about up for this deployment, and I want to take the opportunity to once again extend my most sincere thank you for your support of our task force. Your support has impacted us tremendously. More than words can possibly portray. Many people at home cannot understand the hardships that service members and our families go through during these long separations. It is difficult to stay focused and mission-oriented and try to keep morale levels up to on such an extended time. Your support has helped me do that approximately for 550 service members in Task Force Pale Horse. We have been through a lot in the past year, yet we struggled through a day at a time. We've had temperature challenges which affect our aircraft performance, severe winds which stir up mass amounts of dust. We've had aircraft go down for a variety of reasons, from enemy contact to maintenance issues, but we're blessed in not having any combat-related losses. As a token of our appreciation, I am sending you an American flag that has flown from one of our OH-58D Kiowa Warriors helicopters during combat mission over skies of Afghanistan, as well as a combat patch that has been worn by one of our troopers during the combat operations. God bless you, and thank you again, Chaplain Wayne Sholey, Task Force Pale Horse Chaplain. As many of you have heard, the war in the Middle East has increased. We have over 40,000 troops in that part of the world, and those numbers are increasing. The holidays are coming, and my team and others like mine are sending goodies, decorations, and cards signed by Americans such as yourselves. We're running low on many of the items that we sent each month. I'm requesting that in the holiday spirit, you purchase some of these following items and deposit them in the donation locations listed at the end of the show. The items requested: jerky beef for turkey, gum, batteries, all sizes, ramen noodles, dry drink mixes, dry fruit, granola bars, microwave popcorn, and as much leftover Halloween candy that you didn't give out. Remember, many of our servicemen and women are still young, and they love candy. If you want to sign one or as many cards as you want, you can put those in the containers, and we will make sure they get to the people who are deployed. Please let my team and I send them. If you have a family member who's deployed overseas, or a friend, or someone that you know, please let my team and I send their care packages to them as long as they're deployed. You will see my email address at the end of this show. Let's start this holiday season off right. I hope you found this show interesting and informative. Thank you for again watching on PHTV4, and we will see you next month. Honor and respect.